These things were spoken unto you, that in him ye might have peace. In the world ye shall have tribulation. Be of good cheer. He hath overcome the world. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. These things were spoken unto you. Lamp unto the feet, lamp unto the path. Light of the world where the
God's beautiful souls. Can I tell y'all something that took me way too long to learn? Most people don't actually know who they are. They know who people told them they were. I want you to sit with that. They know who their moms and dads said they were. Their ex, their friends, social media, the church, their neighborhood, and who their failures said they were. But they don't know who God said they were. And they definitely don't know who they become. That's why one compliment can make them feel like a king. And one criticism can make them feel worthless. Because if we're being real, a lot of us have been renting our self-worth from other people. And the problem with renting your worth from people is that they can evict you whenever they feel like it. And before you turn this episode off because you think this isn't about you, I need you to understand something. Almost everybody struggles with this. Some people are just better at hiding it. Come on, y'all. Let's talk about it, because some of y'all have spent your entire life standing in front of a mirror somebody else was holding. Welcome back to Lies Changes Truth. I'm your host, BK Bless. Listen, if this episode touches your spirit and blesses your soul, please like, share, and subscribe, and follow me on my socials. The more people we get these out to, the more people we can heal. The quote we're building this episode around, it's simple, but it might be one of the most life-changing truths you will ever hear. If you live off of people's compliments, you'll die from their criticism. Because like I said, you made people your mirror. So every time they moved, your identity moved too. Every time they approved of you, you felt valuable. Every time they disproved of you, you felt broken. Every time they praised you, you felt confident. And every time they criticized you, you questioned everything. One negative comment ruins your day. One person's opinion shakes your confidence. One disagreement sends you into self-doubt. And one rejection causes you to question your entire purpose. People were never designed to tell you who you are. Only God can do that. The lie? My value comes from what people think about me. No, it doesn't. God's beautiful soul, your value was established long before they formed an opinion, but before they liked you, but before they hated you, before they followed you, but before they unfollowed you, but before they applauded you, and before they criticized you. God already decided your worth. And if we're keeping it 1,000, most people don't even know you well enough to accurately judge you anyway. I want you to think about that. The person praising you usually only knows the version of you that you showed them. And the person criticizing you usually only knows the version of you that they created in their head. Neither one of them knows your whole story, yet somehow you've handed both groups authority over your emotions. Maybe you haven't lived long enough to know that people are inconsistent. The same crowd that cheers for you today might criticize you tomorrow. The same people saying, you're amazing, can become the same people saying, you've changed. The same people screaming your name can forget it next week. And if your identity depends on people, your identity will always be unstable. John 12:13 says, the people shouted, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. And only a few days later, many of those same voices were shouting, crucify him! The same crowd, different opinion. Jesus understood something we need to learn. People are allowed to change their minds. That doesn't mean you should change who you are every time they do. Some of y'all got people who sit in the cheap seats of your life trying to tell you how to drive the bus. They've never carried your responsibilities, fought your battles, cried your tears, prayed your prayers, and they never survived what you survived. But somehow, their opinion carries more weight than God's promises. How does someone who doesn't even know your middle name have the power to ruin your entire week? How does somebody who couldn't pass your test get to tell you your worth? God's beautiful soul, something is wrong with that picture. And here's some wisdom you should hold on to. You're never as good as your biggest supporters say you are, and you're never as bad as your biggest critics say you are. But you know what's scary? Most people don't realize that they've built their identity on public opinion until public opinion changes. As long as people are clapping, everything feels fine. And as long as people are praising them, they feel secure. But the moment the applause stops, the panic starts, because anything built on approval of people will always be one opinion away from falling apart. And I'm not saying all compliments are bad, but compliments are dangerous when they become your source, because whatever feeds your ego will eventually control your emotions. If compliments become your oxygen, then criticism becomes suffocation. That's why some people, they're on emotional roller coasters. Monday, I'm amazing. Tuesday, I'm a failure. Wednesday, nobody understands me. Thursday, I'm back. And Friday, I quit. And the whole time, their identity is being controlled by whoever talked to them last. How insane is that? You want to know the truth? Both compliments and criticism can lie. People will praise you or criticize you for reasons that have nothing to do with you. This is where it gets deep, because everybody who compliments you isn't for you. Some people, they clap for you because they want front seats to your downfall. So some people celebrate you because they're just entertained by you. So some people build you up because they know how to make your fall more dramatic. So be careful, because not every compliment is love. Sometimes compliments are manipulation. Sometimes praise is a bait. And sometimes applause is a trap. Proverbs 29:5 says, to flatter friends is to lay a trap for their feet. Did you hear that? Flattery and love are not the same thing. Real love, it tells you the truth. Flattery, it tells you what feels good. And you should also know that not every critic hates you, and not every critic loves you. Some criticism is wisdom, some is jealousy, some is projection, and some criticism is flat out insecurity. The challenge is learning the difference, because if you reject all criticism, you'll never grow. But if you absorb all criticism, you'll never have peace. Proverbs 15:31 says, if you listen to constructive criticism, you will be at home among the wise. Constructive criticism is valuable, but random opinions, not always. Everybody doesn't deserve access to your identity, and neither group truly defines you. Listen to this. Care about what other people think, and you will always be their prisoner. A quote I read by someone named Lao Tzu, I personally thought it was powerful. A prisoner, not influenced, not encouraged, prisoner. Because now your emotions are chained to people's opinions, and I think that's a miserable way to live. If this hurts, I'm sorry, but it has to be said. Some of you might need more confidence, but I think you need more honesty, because the reason criticism hurts so much isn't always because someone lied. Sometimes criticism hurts because you're secretly doubting yourself. Let's talk. If somebody calls you dumb and you know you're intelligent, you might laugh. But if deep down you're questioning yourself, that criticism hits different. Because criticism tends to attach itself to wounds. And some of y'all got wounds you've never healed. So every negative opinion feels like confirmation. Every rejection feels like proof. Every criticism feels like truth. When really, it's just somebody's opinion. The issue isn't that people have opinions. The issue is that you believe them more than you believe God. I know that's direct, but that's what we're here for. Because some of y'all trust the criticism of strangers more than the promises of God. You trust your fears more than your calling, your insecurity more than your purpose, and your pain more than your healing. Then you wonder why you're stuck. Dr. Miles Monroe said, when purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. I would add this, when identity is not known, confusion is inevitable. Because if you don't know who you are, everybody gets a vote. Everybody. The internet gets a vote. Your ex gets a vote. Your coworkers get a vote. Your haters get a vote. Your jealous friends get a vote. And before long, you don't even recognize yourself anymore. I'm feeling this strong in my spirit. There are people listening right now that have spent years depressed because of people's opinions. Not days, not months, years. And right now, God is trying to break your dependence from human validation. You stop speaking because somebody laughed. You stopped creating because somebody criticized. You don't even dream anymore because someone doubted you. And you stop believing because somebody left. And God is saying, how much longer are you going to let people who didn't create you define you? Your purpose is too important. You can't fulfill your calling if every opinion controls your direction. God says, how much longer? Because you can't lead if criticism breaks you. How much longer are you going to ask broken people for permission to become who God called you to be? How much longer are you going to let insecure people determine your confidence? How much longer? Because you can't walk with God if you're more concerned about people's thoughts than his voice. And God is saying, stop checking with people after I've already spoken and I already know. Some of y'all just got a confirmation from God. Then you ran to 10 people and asked them what they thought. And now you're confused. And it's not because God wasn't clear. It's because too many voices got involved. Don't you know that the crowd is confused? The same crowd that loves you today can hate you tomorrow. The same people screaming your name can disappear when life gets hard. The same people telling you you're amazing might be talking about you next week. That's just people. And I'm not saying that to make you cynical. I'm saying that to make you wise. Because if your identity is built on something that changes, your peace will constantly be changing too. 1 Thessalonians 2:4 says, our purpose is to please God, not people. He alone examines the motives of our hearts. Read that again. Our purpose is to please God. Because if pleasing people was the goal, purpose becomes impossible. Because purpose will offend some people. Growth and healing will make some people upset. Your confidence, boundaries, and success, it'll make some people not like you. You can't spend your life managing other people's reactions. The lie. My value comes from what people think about me. The change. God's beautiful souls. I want you to leave this episode with a different foundation. You have to stop asking people to tell you who you are. You have to stop looking for applause before you move. You have to stop treating opinions like prophecy. Everybody talking ain't God. Everybody criticizing ain't wise. Not everybody that compliments you is for you. And everybody with an opinion doesn't deserve influence over your life. The truth. Here's the truth. The life-changing truth. You're not as amazing as your biggest fan says you are. And you're not as terrible as your biggest critic says you are. You're a human being, growing, learning, healing, and becoming. And your worth was established by God long before anybody formed an opinion about you. So stop building your identity on compliments. Stop collapsing because of criticism. Stop giving people authority they never earned. Know God, know yourself, know your purpose, and know your assignment. And once you know those things, people's opinions become information, not instructions. This has been episode 60 of Lies Changes Truth. I'm your host, BK Blessed. Let me leave you with this. If a compliment can make you and criticism can break you, then people have way too much power over your life. God never intended that your identity would be that fragile. He intended it to be rooted in Him. So receive correction, stay teachable, remain humble, and listen to wise counsel. But never hand your identity over. That belongs to God. And when you finally believe what God says about you and begin agreeing with Him, you'll discover a freedom most people spend their lives chasing. Because the goal is not to think highly of yourself. The goal is not to think poorly of yourself. The goal is to think truthfully about yourself. To see yourself the way God sees you. And once that happens, the crowd will no longer control you. Until next time, stay sober-minded. Listen to God's opinions, not man's. And stay you.
Then do not cease. Jesus, He hath overcome the world. The ages sing, the shadows part. Jesus, the everlasting word, the witness in the heart. Peace, that in Him ye might have peace. Tribulation, in the world ye shall have tribulation. Good cheer. Be of good cheer, hope fast, overcome, He hath overcome the world, the victory shall last. Grace, mercy, faith, hope, witness, testimony, amen, amen. Be of good cheer when the night presses sore, the light shineth in darkness, darkness comprehendeth not the Lord. The shepherd calleth by name, the flock know the voice, the faithful endure, the faithful rejoice. Blessed assurance, the covenant spoken, the promise like bread. From the altar to the street, the word giveth life to the Jesus. These things were spoken, that in Him there is peace. Jesus, in the world there is tribulation. Be of good cheer and decrease. Jesus, He hath overcome the world. The morning is sure and the night undone. Jesus, the Lamb, the way, the light. Behold the victory.